Okay, hello everyone and welcome to another randomised gaming stream. Once again, my name is Random Gamer Riven. I welcome you to the start of another week of streaming here at Randomised Gaming. So I may take a bit of a break from streaming in the not too distant future. So, yes, this is Bangai-O, and the reason I picked this is a game that does not have RGB support. Now, it has RGB support, not VGA. The reason I picked this is because our VGA box packed up over the weekend, so we've got a replacement on the way, so that should all be sorted. I'm not quite sure what happened. I think one of the pins in the thing there got slightly dented. Just took it out, put it back in, and it was just not working. Either that or something had gone. I may have slightly knocked it, but nothing too serious. But oh well, it happens. These type of things sometimes break down. So this is Bangai-O, I should say, is the proper title. Or if we want to actually use the full Japanese title, it's Explosion Invincible Bangai. Oh, basically Invincible Explosion Bangai-O. I think there's some, yeah, you give yourself weird wacky character names, I noticed. And hello to regular viewer Naiko on the streams. Thank you for joining. Now I have to confess, I'm not actually the biggest fan of... I'm playing the PAL version, which supports 60 Hz, you'll be pleased to know. Admittedly, this does actually run in VGA, but it runs in an incredibly small window, and you then have to sort of crop it and bring it up. Basically, this is actually a 240p game, which is why it wants to use something like RGB, because it's using 240p. So you can technically play it in VGA, although you can't play the PAL version of VGA, because that brings up an error. Basically, you hit an error when you get to the Hertz screen, because there's no bypass for it. Which is a well-documented issue, but this game itself is actually designed for 240p, so it's probably best one not actually played with VGA, which is a rare thing. You can know it's actually, it's one of those games that I always felt looked a bit weird because they were interlacing the 240p signal, but here it actually looks quite nice on this setup. It does actually, this is one of the few games that actually works in 3x mode on the open source scan converter, and 4 and 5, but alas, Elgato does not support it on the Pro, or at least with the version of software I'm using. There's quite a few revisions down over the current actual release, owing to not supported by Windows 7. So Bangai-O is an interesting game. It has two sequels, one on the DS, there are 3 games in total. The Dreamcast one. Basically, there's the Dreamcast N64 one. Arguably, you can consider the N64 and Dreamcast one slightly different games. They are actually the same game. The N64 one was done first, and then it was ported to the Dreamcast. However, for the Dreamcast version, they gave the game a heavy, complete makeover. And I know some people still prefer the N64 version because I think there were some slight gameplay tweaks. But other than that, it's a pretty solid version. But yeah, there's definitely, it's not quite, if you're a fan of the N64 one, you may not like the Dreamcast one. The graphics are slightly different. I remember trying to get the PAL version at 60 Hz. No, I've never had any issues with the PAL version, Naiko. Can I ask, were you actually using a genuine copy of the PAL version, or were you using a burned version? Because burned versions are often cheapened to CDI images, which destroy the game, basically. So we're here with a genuine copy. And I should say, I actually got this years ago for like a £5 or 15 quid. It was actually a budget game, but yeah, I was never a big fan of it. The Xbox 360 version is one of the most brutal games I've ever played, the 3rd installment in the franchise. Plus, they got rid of the silly story, so they stopped having the silly story in the later ones, although I quite like the silly story in some aspects. They made it a very dull Yeah, there are some crazy place names. Shouldn't have done that. So you can just literally swap characters. Oh, they do actually become... Yeah, I was going to say, I'd heard... I know you can force it into VGA. You could probably force the PAL one if you had a bypass for the Hertz screen. But yeah, that wouldn't surprise me if it breaks in VGA. You get them in a really small window as well, because basically this is one of the few Dreamcast games designed to be run at 240p. So it really is literally... This is how it was actually designed to be played as. It's a very quirky game. Yeah, you have to remember, Nico, the burned copies of CDI images in every game that uses a burned copy as they've compressed the game. You also shouldn't admit to using burned copies because there's any video you're doing long plays or anything of games you don't own. That's, but yeah, always check with the original versions. Don't ever regard a burn version because the burns are... The problem with the Dreamcast burns is they're taking a gig game and compressing it down to a CD image, and often, I didn't realise they're often ripped badly as well, so... Which is actually an issue we've got with preservation on Dreamcast games. You have to do a raw dump of the GDI image, which is not easy. But yeah, I never had audio issues. I mean, this used to be really dirt cheap originally. Now it's about £40 here in the PAL version. The US version, the Japanese version, I think the sellers want more, but they're still really quite cheap, so... Shouldn't really be getting some of the other fruits. I think you have to get multiple destructions. I'm a little bit rusty. I did get very far into the Xbox 360 version, and if you've ever done the Xbox 360 version, is absolutely brutal because I beat the main game, and then you have a whole set of additional missions that just get harder and harder and harder and harder. In fact, one of the long plays did a video, and basically the guy admits that the game is ruthlessly hard. If you look at sites like True Achievements, the third game literally is a ridiculously high. Only a handful of people. I've not actually done it yet because I sort of got to one mission, just gave up. It just gets insanely hard. First bit, my way to the boss. I'm just going for a bit of fun with the score at the minute. But yeah, the music is really good in this. Basically, you have the overdrive attacks where you build up, destroying enemies again. I am a little bit rusty, so bear with me. I have beaten this a long time ago. I remember the last boss was very tricky. And there he goes in one rocket blast. I think it's if you take damage you get... Yeah, if you compare this to the N64 version, it is a very different... the Dreamcast version, so it's an interesting one. So yeah, there were 3 games. I've got the DS one, and I've got the 360 one. The DS one's not bad. I've never been a huge fan of Banjo, I have to admit. Oh yeah, I didn't do any of the bonuses. You get the nicest time, I'll let you know something. Yeah, the dialogue. Yeah, in the first mission she tells you that you're paying her for the credits. What's that again? Oh, that's right, yeah, it's telling you to use her... Rico's the girl. You'll notice I can just change the characters. The male and female character. I think they're brother and sister again, if I remember. It is a really quirky game. I mean, I kind of enjoyed playing this. I did find it a bit of a slog, I have to admit. I mean, it was originally a budget game as well, so... The N64 version was always quite expensive, so... I have heard a few people say they much prefer the N64 version to this one, but this is just a graphics updated port. I'll get this right. Yeah, burned images should never be used as reference because you never quite know. Especially, there's an issue with Amiga games now. We have so many Amiga games where they haven't yet ripped the original. You get all the pirate images, and often the pirate images will trigger things like the tripwires that mean the game's just broken from the get-go. It also explains why we can't just rely on pirate backups for archival, because if they're bad rips and you don't get one, if in 100 years time all the original media is dead and you don't have a proper rip of the game, then it's not rip backed up. You've lost it, or at least you've lost the finished version of it. Which is a discussion for archival, I suppose, at some point. I think so. Let's change. I must admit, the later 2 Banjo-Os did, Sakura said, sacrifice the story, so kind of lose a lot of the character actually over the original. I said there are quite a lot of changes between this. Oh, I'm going to run out of time. This game does like you to beat it very quickly, which I didn't actually like that much. With the power of the Yasa V3. Can I get him in time? Oh, I think I just got him -3. Oh, so Oh, do you get a minus time in this one? That just means I haven't beaten the clear time. Time has exceeded minus 30,000. Okay. Because there's not a time limit, unlike the later ones. There's a nice, you can view the map once you beat the game as well. Just quite, or beat each stage, you can actually view it. So if you ever fancy doing your map guide to this game, this is a perfect mode to, it's a really weird mode to include, but it's a really nice one. How badly was this glitched when you did actually force the US one into VGA out of interest? I know with the PAL version it just gets stuck on the Hertz screen, but yeah, I can believe this was not a good game on VGA. So as you see here, there's a nice little, because this was designed, this is basically an N64 port and it's running at the N64 resolution. They've just tarted up the visuals, but it's still the N64 version in its core. But it does look a lot nicer than the original N64 version. I'm wondering how I do wonder how popular Bangai-O is, because it'd be interesting to see how many people we get on stream tonight. Because I know it's not. It's kind of a niche game. It's not like the Good Star Dan No Panic. It's not like some other treasure games where people are like, "That's a fantastic treasure game." Now I have to admit, the English dialogue in this is totally bonkers. It feels like it's been badly translated. These days the N64 version is rather pricey though. It's going to set you back about 150 quid. Whereas the Dreamcast one I think was about 40 still. I mean, for ages it was only about 20. And there's still loads on eBay, so I even question the £40 price tag, but that seems to be what it was selling at. There were some people that wanted a lot more, and you do have to be wary these days of what we call scalpers. Ah, there we go, some more fruit. Tiny bonuses. The aim of the game is just to... Don't load correctly, okay. Yeah, I know it plays in a if you do it, it plays in a really small window, so something like the open source scan converter would allow you to shrink the window size though. Is it ever intended to be used? Yeah. Yeah, I think that was the case with this. It's a quirky game, Bangai-O, but I wouldn't say it's Treasure's finest hour. Despite the fact I've played and I own all three of them, I find it hard to recommend the later games, so... Oh, I got taken out that one. Okay, yeah, the rather quirky continue screen. And in case you're wondering, this rated is a 3+ on the... this was a Lepsa game, give it a 3+ rated, so... There is other fruit in the M64. You do get, I think you get other fruit in this one. I know some people did say they preferred the N64 version, so... Actually watch that, shouldn't really Ah, he's got me again. I should have got him that time. And there he goes. It is a very, very crazy game, with the weird sort of Ultraman in the background there. I think it's a little bit offbeat for a lot of people. I think it's fair to say it was a very offbeat game, Bangai-O. Just clicking the mouse there. I'm just going to grab the manual just to remind myself on how the specials work. Not that I think the power manual was much help, but... There's always a few bits of genuinely good information. You cornered back. Yeah, I pretty much trapped him in there and absolutely demonstrated end level. Yeah, it's when your explosion system is as high as possible. Yeah, the Bangaioh is the robot name. So basically, I actually prefer Explosion Invincible Bangaioh. It makes better sense as a name because it gives you want the Explosion Invincible as sort of the tagline. So it's weird they cut that out. You actually want Explosion Invincible and then Bangaioh, the Explosion Invincible Bangaioh, because that is space symmetry. Admittedly, he trapped himself, but now I seem to remember there were a few stages. Yeah, I think that's a fair analogy of treasure games. You basically either know how to beat them or get destroyed. We have the tankers there. The higher explosions, the more sort of score or something. Yeah, admittedly, the later, I don't know if you played the one on Xbox, Nico, but there's one on Xbox 360 that becomes ridiculously hard in the later missions. It becomes so hard, very, very people have ever actually managed to beat. Can't remember what the third game's called again, but it's just so ruthlessly hard. It gets to the point where it becomes so hard it's not fun to play. Because I beat the sort of initial set of campaign, and then you get loads. Well, I mean, it's got tons of missions, but they become obtusely hard, and you have to use some really advanced features in order to get out some of the missions alive. If you don't, you know them or don't use them, you are a goner from the get-go. Your aim is to get your explosion score as high as possible to unleash carnage. For some reason, yeah, that's the one. That's exactly the one, Nico, yeah. The D3 one is just absolutely unforgiving. Yeah, you do have lots of weird ants as well. Basically, want to keep the minute they get high, basically, if you get a high explosion score, fire another burst straight after to get an even higher one. Yeah, you have weird things like ants in it and other things that doesn't make any sense either or the way. I need to... This one maybe I should do a run for at some point, but I think this is on the back burner. Although at the minute, as I'm waiting for a VGA replacement cable, it might be on the front burner. Although I do have a couple of videos coming. I've got a playthrough of one of the Dreamcast games, and I've also got a playthrough of Puzzle Bobble, the arcade game, so... I did actually grab, there was a homebrew port of Quake, which was quite interesting to play on Dreamcast. Ah, that was the counter-attack. Yeah, you fire when you're being... That was the... Basically, that counter-attack is how you survive. So basically, the more bullets at you... There we go, there's a counter. Yeah, there's bananas in the N64 one. I think I saw another green fruit. I haven't been able to generate them on this one. I did remember a couple people saying they did prefer the N64 one to the Dreamcast ones. There are some odd changes with the... but there's definitely different fruit between the two versions. And there we go, get the counter right and you get an absolute ton of... Yeah, it's really weird. The answer... Can't remember who published the DS one. The DS one has your own level editor, which is quite nice. Yeah, there's a D3 published one on Xbox. Is it Bangai-O Spirit? That one is... One's the DS one, which isn't bad. One is the... absolutely... Hi, it's me. The dialogue is just weird. My name is... So yeah, you have a friendly chat with the weird reactors and then you have to blow them up. Yeah, the reactors heal up as well. Not that that really slows you down much. It is a very crazy game. The N64 is more difficult. Yeah, I've never really played the N64 one. Truth be told, I never liked this Dreamcast, that one. Hi there, Araka. Thanks for joining the chat. I never really liked this Dreamcast one that much, so I was never that interested in grabbing the N64 version. It's a shame the characters, it's a shame the characters didn't appear in the later ones. This one really did. The later games, I think, lack something. As always, guys, if you're enjoying the stream, please do consider hitting that like button, although probably like everyone has. I definitely think it's quiet today. I'm guessing Bangai-O really isn't that popular, because although Treasure have done 3, I'm not sure how popular they are. Have you played the DS one then, Araka? There's a one on the DS as well. So basically, the Dreamcast one is the same game as the N64 one, but with slightly weaker graphics. They were made roughly the same time. Yeah, I know the final stage is really, really hard, even in this one. The boss literally just throws bullets at you. I remember taking a good couple of hours to beat him. Basically, the boss is just a version of you, and he just goes absolutely crazy in his mech. Never played any. It's definitely an interesting game, but I don't think it's anywhere near Treasure's best game, to be honest. In fact, I didn't enjoy this that much when it originally came out. I think I'm a bit more... I like it a bit more now, but I'm still not a huge fan of it. It's such an odd game. It was actually originally a budget title here in Europe. Obviously, they didn't feel it was strong enough to... Basically, you can change form between the brother and sister. And you can shoot stuff. And that's really all there is to it. There's just no... I think one of the issues with this is there's just no change in gameplay. What you see here is what you get throughout the entire whole game. Yeah, I think the later Bangai-O had a time limit where if you didn't... I seem to recall the 360 one, if you don't beat the missions... Yeah, the 360 one's still available. The 360 one is a very big game. It's got loads of missions, but the difficulty gets very, very hard, and it doesn't have any of the characters and story that this one has. Not that this one has much of a story, it's just got a load of wacky conversations, really. Again, skip the crazy continue screen, which is just bonkers they put that up. I mean, it's not bad, the Xbox 360 one. If you want a cheap game, it's worth grabbing. It's the third game in the series, but it's basically the start of it's quite pleasant, and then the 360 one becomes the hardest game in the entire franchise. Some of the later missions require perfect precision to play through down to the second, literally. There is actually a long play video on it, and the guy literally, basically, if you read the description, he says it's like ridiculously hard. And bear in mind, I'm a professional gamer as well, so... And if I tell you a game's hard, it really is hard. And I'm not talking Sekiro Shadows Die Twice hard. It's a whole nother level. I'm not talking the game being obtusely hard just for the sake of it. It is just ruthless, the 361. But the first half of the game, the first sort of story section is quite nice, but after that it gets much, much harder. There's none of these bonkers characters. I think possibly because the characters detract a little bit from the game, but... Although I do remember quite a few people saying they preferred how the N64 one played over the Dreamcast version, so... But this is the better looking of the two versions by quite some margins. They redid a lot of the visuals. There we go, the super attack. Yeah, really talking old school hard, yeah. Palette, that doesn't... So yes, the boss is rather unhappy with him blowing up a space station, basically. I'd actually forgotten you fight more than just... I thought it was just the guy. I didn't realise. I'd forgotten you fight this guy, so yeah. Basically, the more enemies on screen, the more rockets come at the counter. For dual D-pad controls. Yeah, I think some people did mention the N64 controller handled better. And you have to remember, this wasn't done... I don't think the Dreamcast version was actually done by Treasure. I think it was ported by another company, because there's 2 companies credited. I think they did the port for Treasure. I do remember people saying the N64 version controlled much better. But as I haven't played the N64 version, I can't be certain. But yeah, I'd quite like to play the N64 version to see what it's like, but I really don't want to fork out for it, so... And N64 emulators are still a bit rubbish, it has to be said. But yeah, hence why this one works better on VGA, because it, hence why this one doesn't work that well on VGA, because this is a direct N64 version using the same resolution. I think they redid the backgrounds and visuals, but they kept the game running at the same resolution, which seems a little odd, but that's how they did it. So effectively, this is one Dreamcast game that runs at 240p. Yeah, you're dead right there, Nico. There's so many arcade games that were deliberately designed to be just ruthlessly hard, and I mean, the Dark Souls games are tricky, but they're designed to be tricky on purpose. They're not necessarily good design, some of the Dark Souls stuff. I mean, I do enjoy them, I really enjoy them, but they're not... People do build them up a bit. I mean, they are designed to be unpleasantly hard, I will admit, the Dark Souls. And Shadows... the Dreamcast version is a port of the N64 one, Araka. However, it has redone visuals, so the graphics have been heavily spruced up, and there's a few gameplay tweaks. I have heard a lot of people call it as quite a different game to the N64 version, hence why I've seen a lot of people recommend the N64 version over the Dreamcast one. But as I've never played the N64 version other than watched videos of it, I know visually it looks quite a step down compared to this. I can't say how much better it plays, but a lot of people have said to me in the past the N64 one plays better than the Dreamcast one. And as Nico just mentioned, the controller was one of the things. I'm not necessarily sure. Often it's just a case that the emulation isn't that good. Oh, by the way, Nico, seeing as you're a Saturn fan, in fact you as well, Artorica, you might be interested to know that we've recently had there's a couple of... They've re-released Cotton 2 and Cotton Boomerang on like PlayStation 4 and Switch, and Guardian Force. It turns out they are using the emulator SFF, so we finally got some Saturn games being emulated on PlayStation 4. So Saturn fans might be interested to know they're going to start appearing now. Ah, it's a full health. Oh, that's quite... But yeah, literally, Saturn's games being emulated on N64, which is quite funny. But literally, it's SFF, so... admittedly, SFF is the better emulator. Hi Hassan Terrell, thanks for joining the stream. Hopefully, have I got that right? Hassan Terrell, yeah. Hi, thanks for joining the stream. Yeah, the dialogue here is absolutely bonkers. So, yep, the reactors talk to you. These reactors are like the easy bosses. The sort of welcome bosses. It's been a while since I checked SFF, but the last time I checked it, you had to get the work in progress build. Not the actual main build hadn't been updated in Yonks, but the work in progress builds were quite a way ahead. But that was a few years back, so it's been a while since I checked. Apparently they did make it open source for a while, and then they retracted it. The guy who developed it, so yeah. Yeah, I know the Switch has a lot of people complained about the fact you get the drift quite easily. I mean, console drift is something that happens with a lot of controllers. I've actually had it happen on one of my PS2 ones slightly. Yeah, they were updating SFF. There was a load of work in progress builds for a while, WIP builds. But yeah, they did make it open source and then they yanked it. Okay, so I've got to get the squirt. Yeah, it does mean we get ports of Saturn games, even if they're not 100, or at least emulated versions of Saturn games on newer consoles, which is nice. It's nice to know we might be able to play more Saturn games. So much for the Pro controller. Ah, use the Pro controller. I must admit, the cost of Switch, we were going to pick one up, but since they've basically inadvertently announced that they're doing a 4K version, we're going to wait till that turns up. We will get one at some point. We actually have a couple of games with the Switch and don't have anything to play them on, so such is life. We will get one at some point. Yeah, the music for this is actually pretty good. I will admit, this is one of the high... It's been a while since I've actually listened to the the soundtrack. It is actually a pretty solid soundtrack. As always, if you enjoy our streams, please do consider hitting the like button here at Randomised Gaming. And dare I can say, you can always, if you fancy using Super Chat or any other features, you can do. And also, if anyone's interested, I posted on the blog today about there's a new Kickstarter for a new Sega magazine here in the United Kingdom, and it's being done by a former editor of Sega and Saturn Power, who was previously on one of my streams the other week, which I was chuffed about. So, Dean Mortlock, who previously edited Sega, is doing a new Sega Saturn magazine. The Kickstarter's already been funded as well, so we can look forward to it in the near future. $10 to $11. Oh, really? Wow. Yeah. Apparently, one of the guys said that's a known issue with SFF, that it has bad. Yeah, that does make it very. Apparently, that's a known issue with SFF, that it's got input lag. And yeah, the weird image you get after you continue was just one of the many jokes in Banjo. I have no idea why they did something like that. It just looks weird. Supposed to be like a punishment image when you get shown continuing. But yeah, there's lots of weird jokes in Banjo. Right? The dialogue goes along with it, as I said, just crazy dialogue. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know. Some of it's a bad translation. I think some of it may well be intentional. But yeah, it's been a while since I've actually heard the music, so it is. Also, it's not. I think it's about 50 stages. It's not hugely big. I beat it relatively quickly when I originally did it. Level of bad, yeah. Yeah, that does make shmups almost unplayable with that degree of lag. In fact, it does make. I mean, it doesn't make them unplayable if it makes them more. You're likely to going to die a lot. The only thing I will say, Cotton Boomerang is not the hardest game. It's not the hardest shmup to play, nor is Cotton 2. Yeah, it would hamper gameplay quite severely. That's very true. To the point where you probably won't enjoy it anywhere near as... I always find it hard to notice lag. I never tend to have too much of an issue with it unless it's really bad. So one of the TVs we had, when you put it into a gaming mode, that introduced really, really bad visual lag, and you could see it, and then it came. And the old scaler we used to use, which I still use for a couple of games, on some of the really... So I never noticed it on the fighting games, but on things like pinball, that's when I noticed you'd hit it and then it would just not be quite as responsive as it should be. But yeah, the Xbox 360 version of Banjo-O, I think it's Banjo-O Spirits, no, or is it Banjo-O Missile Fury? I can't remember. Definitely worth playing, but yeah, it's ruthlessly hard. I wouldn't say it's quite as good as this one, as Nico mentioned, and as it's got a couple of weird enemies like ants and other things that aren't that good, but... Oh, there's a banana. Why is it blue? Is that telling me I'm out of missiles? Is that why it's... That's irritating. I don't need to know when I don't have any rocket. But yeah, getting the counter attacks. But yeah, the some of the later stages on the 360 one, you literally... Blue improvements, yellow complete recovery, green find out. I think of the N64 treasure games, Sin and Punishment was definitely the better one. I really enjoyed Sin and Punishment. I need to go through and play that again. Should probably do a run through on that as well. I really enjoyed Sin and Punishment. In fact, I probably should dig out the N64 in the not too distant future. We haven't really covered it on the channel, and I should really do something N64 related at some point. Yeah, for me it does depend on the type of the game whether I can notice the lag, as you guys are saying. Certain games I can almost, I think because you get used to having to anticipate. Like I said, with pinball games I definitely noticed it when there was lag. But the thing is, a lot of games themselves have lag at default. I saw a thing a little while back that said Super Mario Brothers. The NES actually has like 1 point of... If I go quick current game, does that take me back to the title? Ah, so it skips the game over screen. Yeah, it is definitely a fantastic game. in punishment. Okay, so I can skip the game over screen. But so why am I even bothering to fight these guys? Should just look at the reactor or the boss. Oh, there we go, the bananas. Cherries, bananas. I think there's like a lemon as well, or a lime. There we go, the super attack. Yeah, I know what you mean about platformers, because some of them where you have like really, where you're jumping on edges, like something like when I was doing Super Magnetic Neo the other night, that you would definitely feel if there was lag. But even some of the games like Castlevania stuff, I sometimes think there's lag. Because the NES itself actually had like 1 frame of lag, I remember somebody saying, so it was actually better to play. They actually, one of them like custom modded a NES and got rid of the lag. So based on that amount of time I have for this stage, this is going to be a long stage. Yeah, D-pads are often... I mean, the Dreamcast had a pretty horrible D-pad. The PS4 does have... it's better than the... So I hate the PS1 D-pad. That was just awful. So that's actually one about the 5 fruits. So. There are 5 types of huge space fruits. Mandarins, apples, bananas, pineapples and watermelons. The price rises according to the series. I must admit, I think the Jaguar D-pad might give the CDI a run for its money. That always looked pretty awful. Excluding terrible third-party joypads. Oh, that sounds terrible. No, that does sound the worst that you probably can find. Or play any video game with. The problem with the PS1 D-pad is it's just horrible to feel. The PS4 one might be a bit mushy, but it's just nicer on your hand. The PS1 one just butchers your thumbs. That's the problem with it. Because I can't play PS1 games for long periods because it just destroys your thumbs. Same with PS2. And they have a slight, I think, a touch delay because they're not smooth. They don't have clear inputs. I mean, it's better. I mean, I'd prefer to play on a PS4 joypad just because it's easier on the thumbs. But yeah, modern joypads. Sony have never been good with the D-pad, I'll be honest. Sony have never been good. What are we into this now? 1 hour 10. Appreciate all the likes, everyone. Very much appreciated. It is a bonkers game. Just showing, I should probably do a proper sort of playthrough of this. I can't remember how many stages this has. Does the manual tell me? 44 levels. I must be, it wasn't that big. But I do remember getting to the last stage and then just getting absolutely murdered by the final boss in this. The Wii Classic, yeah, that wasn't a bad. I still think the Sega Saturn had the best D-pad. For me, the Sega Saturn D-pad wins by a country mile. I mean, there is a degree of opinion and personal experience on each of the controllers, so admittedly some will definitely fare better than others if you were to compare them all in various tests. Yeah, in the 361, I think it's Miss Our Fury, there are times where literally the level, you just have to do it absolutely perfect. By the way, speaking of shmups, I do hope you guys all enjoyed our Darius HD video. Please do check it out if you haven't seen it. It's a long play of one of the routes, but the remaster is very, very good. So do check it out if you haven't seen the video. And we will actually be taking a look at a Mega Drive shooter later in the week. There is one coming out on Friday, and we've been able to secure early access to it, so that I won't be commentating anymore. Just say it's actually a very nice port, but I can't say any more on stream just yet. So Oh, I see. Press B. It's just telling you press B to skip the. And I think I have just foobarred the mission. You will get that later on. There are a couple of missions that, if you do the things in the wrong order, you can render the mission incompletable and have to restart. Subjective, that was the word I was thinking. It is sort of subjective, personal opinion on the D-pad, but yeah, I think we can pretty much agree what the bad ones are and what the good ones are. Yeah, I will admit though, the Wii U and the Wii Pro pads are actually pretty good. Much nicer than, say, the Dreamcast I'm currently playing. The Dreamcast, I'm not a big fan of the D-pad. It is quite ruthlessly on my thumbs. And this is a D-pad game as well, so I'm having to play it with the D-pad. For some reason, if you use the analog stick, you only get shooting movements. So, yeah, this mission is foobarred. Okay. Just to watch that on some missions. One-way street? Surely it can't be. Gained everything about this game is just utterly bonkers. Like I said, it's best played. In fact, it can only be played by with RGB or basically S-video or composite or RF if you still have an RF cable for your Dreamcast. Although I certainly wouldn't recommend playing a Dreamcast game with RF, but it is still technically an option. I have seen someone connect an RF via a HDMI adapter to a modern TV. Looked awful, but they were playing a game in RF. Yeah, it's just, I mean, the Dreamcast controller is rather just very sturdy, not very movable, very unpleasant on your thumbs. I mean, it really is. Even when I had even back in the day when I was younger, I didn't always notice it was just really unpleasant. I mean, the Dreamcast controller is a bad conversion of the Sega Saturn analog pad. Dreamcast controller. So, yep, I would totally agree. It is very harmful. My thumb is slowly getting a bit battered and bruised at the minute. Ah, that's where. Ah, that's why. Really, you can play a large majority of Dreamcast games with the arcade sticks, so... Yeah, it was always a bit... It's a weird one to hold. I know what you mean, Naiko. Actually, one of the worstest ones was the original Xbox pad. You know, the really big, fat controller that weighed so much that people started getting like sore hands from holding it because it was so big and sturdy. I think they said that was actually literally designed for people with big hands, but everyone else it was a bit too big for, so... The Duke, yeah, the Duke. And that is a colossal controller. Outside of really bizarre perishable controllers, I actually have one that was a weird analog thing with a massive dual-handed joystick. Really, really weird. That was, I think that was one designed for FPSs. Yeah, I think if you've got big hands, it was quite comfortable. If you've got small hands, or sort of even medium-sized hands like most people, then it was quite uncomfortable, hence why the design ended up getting changed. I worked just at the back end of the Xbox's life, and I remember a couple of the guys telling me everyone by the end in testing hated the big controller because they said it was just for long periods of play it got really bad. Cool thumbs. Yeah, it was really weird. The black and white buttons on they were always in weird places. I don't know why they didn't put a row of 6. I did actually see there's a new controller coming out which is going to have the Dreamcast buttons in order, which is quite interesting. I think it was a retro bit one or something. So I'm not sure when it's releasing, but I did see it the other week, so I think it may have been retro bit. Yeah, some of these stages are actually quite puzzle orientated later on, as you're seeing here. Yeah, the Xbox One's got some nice... The Xbox One control pad's quite nice. In fact, I probably might even say I think I slightly prefer the Xbox One controller to the PS4 one. Oh, I didn't grab that health. Not that I think it matters too much. That's a mega health. Why am I getting a mega health when I'm nearly at the end of the stage?
先輩先輩
Okay, back on mic then. We'll just take a moment off mic. Right, so it's definitely an interesting one game, Banjo. I don't think it's, I said, visually it's not a bad 2D looking game, but it's not the best looking one it is, because it's based on an N64 title. I have a suspicion they may have redone the music for Dreamcast. It definitely sounds a lot more cleaner, but I'm not entirely sure. As I've said, I haven't really played the N64 version. It's definitely very crazy. We're at level 13 now, unlucky for some. So what am I? Just an hour and a half in, and we're at level 13. Admittedly, I could have probably done this a lot quicker once I know how to beat each stage. You can just rush a lot of the stages as well. The map viewing function is quite nice. It's a little odd, but it is quite nice. Let's look at this stage again, see who's got the map viewing function. Can you just literally... So yeah, there's the boss. I see. So you have to take the long way around to get to the boss. But yeah, the fact you get the parallax scrolling when you're even viewing these stages. I just wish there was a bit more to them. It's best just, as I said before, it's blow up the enemies and not much else. But it is still a very nice looking 2D game, but it's not the best looking 2D game. I'd definitely say stuff like Capcom vs SNK and Capcom vs SNK 2 are much better looking. Just resting my fun a moment. But yeah, music good. I think it's a nice title, but it's definitely... I mean, it was released as a budget title here in the UK. It was actually released at £20 price tag. When it is only one player, it was... So Swing are published as the European publishers, but it was actually distributed by Virgin Interactive. Yeah, it definitely sounds like they've reworked the audio for the N64. And you'll notice we haven't had any audio issues yet, so... The music's all played quite nicely. I mean, it's not the most sort of expansive and sort of rousing music, if you know what I mean. It's not a orchestrated piece. It's not something that they'll get your head pumping like, say, the Castlevania music. Yeah, that probably explains why the Japanese name translated to English is Explosion Invincible Bangai-O. So obviously they wanted to, like I said, okay, right, this stage, I think this is the one where I've got to beat. This is like a massive race stage, and this is the one I think it is. I've literally got a beat. Yeah, I have a feeling I may have foobarred the mission. Got a feeling that's got stuck because I didn't blow the earlier ones. I think you've got to blow up all the earlier grids so they don't interfere. Yeah. Ho hum. Oh yeah, it saves your progress in between stages. Basically, it records what stage you've got up to. But it's just there's not much game to it. It's literally the same. Basically, besides some slight tweaks on the bosses and different stages, this is your lot. From the first stage to the last stage, it's largely... Normally, games generally have sort of progression changes, the odd tweak here and there. You get a few skills along the way. Or stages differ quite heavily between one another. This, it's largely what you see in stage 1 is what you get in the later stages. There are a few tweaks. Some very difficult boss fights at the end, but largely... Because somehow I managed to get that door locked before I... Okay, Night Nico, thanks for joining the stream. I very much appreciate you being on as always. I didn't quite make it in time round. Okay, stop. Yeah, no, when I originally played this, I think I spent... This was a game I played on and off. I didn't actually do it all in one sitting. Although, to be fair, I enjoy this game a bit more now than I did originally. I think I can appreciate more. I think at the time I was a little bit disappointed with how it looked and everything, which is a bit unfair. Ow. Try that again. This is where things get a little bit more trickier. The game does, as I say, ramp up as the difficulty goes along, and the final boss is absolutely infuriating. I think I may only needed that one. I just took all the end ones. Oh, it's just all the end ones. There we go across. Oh! Oh no! No! Ho ho ho! You literally have a teeny little window to get across. Game is cheeky like that. Ow! Yeah, you literally have to get a teeny little window, and if you don't do it right, yeah, as the later stages go, there is a lot more practice. And as I mentioned, Missile Fury on the Xbox 360 is like twice the size of this. So that really is a really good game. And, as I said, ruthlessly hard. Yeah, that's the game that makes Souls games look like my first video game. Because it requires genuine skill, not just having the right power set, sort of build setups that the developers wanted you to. Get across there.
Bonjour.
See, it's weird we have talking reactors in this, but Très bien. It's weird you get they talk to you with that weird little French accent. And French dialogue. Très bien, thank you. Yeah, not much in the explosion, but a lot of time bonus. It is, as I said, a very bonkers game. I'm not sure how popular the series is. Treasure made 3 games, but I'm never convinced they were that popular. I think the stream viewer numbers tell me this is perhaps not the most popular franchise either. Ooh. As you play this, you'll get used to when to use when to swap between the two characters and their weapons. I think the later game actually had a bigger selection of weapons. I think you had a couple of other weapons as well. Yeah, you see, the DC one, I don't actually think it's that expensive. I just think it's people putting the prices up for it because it's actually really quite common. It's not like some of the other genuinely rare games that turn up once in a blue moon on eBay. If you go look, there is tons of copies of Bangai-O, N64, Dreamcast, all regions, so Japan. The only version of Bangai-O on the Dreamcast that I think is actually rare is the collector's edition, of which there were 5 printed and given out at a tournament. Oh, he got me. Because often there is a tendency for games to have the price put up by people just because they think it's worth something, not because it actually is. And arguably these games fall into catalogue. They're often talked about, but you don't often see many people play. And as someone who's played all 3 games, granted I haven't played the N64 version of the original. It's not a bad game by any stretch. I mean, it's a good game. It's just not a great one. And that is one of the key factors with video games. It's knowing when you're playing a good game and knowing when you're playing a great game. Yeah, definitely. eBay can be eBay pricing these days is very, you do have to look at... Oh, he blew me up in one hit. You do have to look at the sold prices. And even then, eBay is a premium site, remember? So eBay is sort of the very premium site. And even then, you have to look at what's sold via auctions because buy it nows can be manipulated as well. So in the end, you end up... There's not actually that much you can actually take away from eBay other than a lot of the prices. Oh, hello, Mizu. Nice for you to join the stream. But yeah, I do. eBay is, you have to be very careful. It's very easy to be overpriced on eBay if you're not careful. So do set yourself a limit and don't get involved in bidding wars. And also with eBay, snipe, 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 snipe. If you want to win auctions, snipe. Basically, don't bid till the last second. Basically, it's like a poker game. You don't reveal your hand till the very last moment. So that way, people don't have a chance to respond, and that's the only way. So that's how Random Game the Dragoon's been winning a lot of his auctions. He's just given up placing bids. He just snipes these days because so often if you try to do standard or if you place, you'll just get outbid. Or someone will come along who just place a higher bid just because they get caught up in bidding fever. So yeah, make sure you get that counter attack in. Yeah, you have to be really careful. I always get really agitated now when buyers, so even if a lot of retailers now try and price their prices according to what sold on eBay. Well, actually, eBay is a premium thing against everyone in the world. So while I expect you don't want to be too cheap because you don't want to be saying to people who will just basically buy and then resell on eBay, but you need to do that careful ground, which is, so this is about 30 to 40 pounds. On the European version of this is about 30 to 40 pounds. It's not that expensive, and in fact it's probably more, looking at the number of copies, I would argue it's probably more about 20 to 30. It's just so many of them are on buy it nows that it slightly increases the price, because if you have, let's say if you have 15 copies of the games for sale, 12 of them are priced at prices that are unfair or unreasonable. That means there are only 3 that everyone else will bid on, thus it will increase the price, because you've basically got half them at unwanted prices. Yes, a lunar darkness, a mysterious evening. And those are the sort of raccoon cross. So yes, this is like the end of the training. Obviously your dad's distracted. He wants to have a go at trying to take you down. Ah, family love, eh? Oh, there's the pineapples. That was quite an impressively quick takedown. That's what happens when you get the super. It's weird. You basically have this. The background picture is Ultraman versus Godzilla, basically, for this. And on to stage 16. I might... swap. It is a very... I still plays well. I do enjoy this, I will admit. I think I've grown a bit more fond of this than when I originally played through it. But I suppose because I played the other games. I think I probably prefer this to the later sequels, actually. And I wasn't that big a fan of this. I think partly because at the time I was so used to some of Treasure's other games. And I was a little bit disappointed with this, certainly after the Saturn games, with Silvergun, Silhouette Mirage. I think this always felt like it was a bit of a climb down. And it doesn't look as good as Silhouette Mirage, doesn't look as good as Guardian Hero, it doesn't look as good as Radiant Silvergun on the Saturn. But that's not to say it's a bad game. It's a good game. I just don't necessarily think it's a great one. But there's plenty of... The visual design is actually very good, even though it's always using very relatively small sprites, etc. And the difficulty in this becomes rather tricky, but it's the first... So I've beaten this one, I've beaten the DS one, and I've beaten the basic mode, or I think I've beaten the first sort of the main campaign in Missile Fury, but Missile Fury then had a truckload of, on the 360, of bonus stages, where the difficulty ramps up to X proportionate degree that it just becomes ridiculously hard. I mean, I enjoy challenging games, but there's challenging, and then there's OMG, what are you doing to me challenging? You know, the old school arcade games that literally felt like ripping your hair out and destroying the arcade cabinet. Oh, I can't believe I got blown up right at the last minute on that stage. So the price of this has said it's sort of moderately It's basically about the same price it was. No, it's actually more expensive because this was a budget game when it released. I suppose the question is this worth it? I think it depends. Do you like this type of shooter? And the answer, yes. I do think the price is a little bit high, but it's a solid game. I'm not going to criticise it in that. It's a good game. I said it does get very repetitive, although you don't have to do it all in one sitting because, of course, it saves your progress. And you can also time attack your scores if you want to best your best times. That's it. Other than improving your swords, there's not a lot of real incentive to go back and play through it. There's not really much in the way of unlockables in this one. But yeah, if you can still grab the DS one is still out and about, and the 360 one is still available to buy on the 360 store at present. So if you haven't played a Banjo-O game, you can still readily buy Missile Fury. Yeah, I finished this, so I'm pretty good solid at Banjo-O. It's not an easy game, that's for sure. In fact, it is definitely a game where it does have the end sections are very tricky. Very colourful game though, which is always nice. Always nice to get colour in the game. There was a period during the 360 era where we had lots of dull, drab, boring games initially, and then they started adding the colour back into them. Like Gears of War 1 was about as colourful as a black and white painting. You have to watch the yellow orbs, they have quite a big explosion to them. So yeah, the basically your bosses are, you get some big ships, the enemy pilots and the mechs, and you basically get the chatty reactor cores that you blow up. The reactor cores are probably the most disappointing of the bosses, they don't really do a lot. But this is a rare example of a properly 240p game on the Dreamcast. I said I'm not playing this via VGA, I'm playing this via RGB SCART, partly as our VGA box broke the other day, so broke at the weekend, it just packed up. So we're getting a replacement. What we'll do is we're getting a quick cable replacement and then we'll look at getting another box. But you will expect hardware. I think largely we haven't had any hardware fail on us to date, but that's always going to happen when you're dealing with old consoles and hardware. At some point we will have one of the consoles fail and then it'll be time to get it repaired. Okay. We just got a VGA cable at present. We're still looking at a replacement VGA box yet. I'm aware there's lots of different brands, so we're sort of having a view out, look between the various ones. Oh, I missed that laser, didn't I? I'd be interested to see if a direct cable gives just a slightly better picture than a box, because most of the boxes can slightly affect the picture. So, but yeah, I did notice the one we had, there was a newer version of it. So, but I know there's a few other ones. I know there's the Tora you've recommended. Oh, another reactor. But hopefully it's probably not easy for you to tell this is a 240p game and it looks really, really lovely. It's the interlaced games that don't look quite as good, but this 240p one. Although I am waiting on an open source scan converter Pro when that comes out, but I know there's the RetroTink 5, which has come out before the open source scan converter 2, which is quite interesting. But basically, the open source, I know it's the RetroTink 5 got the drop on the. Yeah, I did notice the developers of that have done a newer version of it. So we saw the older one, but not the newer one. I think we'd have to buy it directly from their website. Yeah, our previous box to this video. So appreciate all the likes, everyone on stream. Thank you, Mizu. Yeah, I have played this before, and I having got very far through the 360 version, I'm pretty solid out. I mean, this is not a perfect run. I've died a few times, but these are the easiest stages as well. They do get much harder later on. I do need to get my practice up on this. Playing this, I'm reminded why I want to do that. Yeah, there's a full-on burst. Basically, the more bullets on screen, the bigger the counter attack when you do the shots. And each of the two characters have advantages with their attacks. So the missiles go through, the lasers rebound off surfaces. There are certain scenarios you want to use the lasers, there are certain scenarios that you want to use the rockets. And Nico at the start mentioned he had audio issues with the PAL version, but then we discovered he had a hooky PAL version, so as in he had got a burn of the game, and I think obviously that may have been an issue with the burn version, whereas I'm using a genuine copy. And I picked this up back when they were selling off Dreamcast games for next to nothing. Tell I'm better than arcade. Yeah, actually I was playing, so I did Quake 3 the other night on stream, and I realised how brutally hard Quake 3 is. I then redid Unreal Tournament, and that was much better. The newer boxes. Okay, let's bear in mind they've only got VG. Yeah, I prefer. I think I prefer VGA over HDMI. Okay, this boss is really. It's like a. Yeah, this guy is a real homage to. For those who don't know, this boss is a homage to Ultraman. Okay, that was quite an easy boss fight. Ah, now we start getting some of the crazier map designs. But yeah, we will be looking at a new VGA box. We're just getting a straight replacement cable in the short term, and then we'll look at a new box. Ah, there's the V box. Yeah, it's been a while since we've got it. Now, can I find where the boss is before... So there are quite a few slightly offbeat stages from time to time, like this one. Ow. Got taken out. They got to get the V power-ups and then quickly go for the boss. I think that guy is the leader of the gang. You fight him a few times. Just a short way down for the boss. Oh, apologies, bit of heavy flashing there. Yeah, this game does, I should just say, slight first emphasis warning, this game does actually have quite heavy flashing in a few points. Oh, he's got that shield as well, okay. We're not sure what we'll stream tomorrow, so it'll be another non-VGA game, that's for sure. I might do one of the Japanese imports I got the other day, which is based on an anime, but I'm a little bit wary of anime games. Yeah, got him. Gotta watch him. Yeah, he is the final boss. Okay, stage 20. I'm making good progress through this. 2 hours 22. Appreciate all the likes, everyone. I will. This is one definitely I think we should probably do a long. Quite a few games should probably consider doing long plays of in the near future. But yeah, if you haven't seen, we've got a long play of Darius Gadian. I do have a video playthrough of Dynamite Cop coming as well. I need to get that sorted. I've actually got a couple of unused videos of games I should have put out by now, so I'll probably do a few of them. I'm probably going to take a break from streaming for a little bit and do a few videos just to get some of the videos out. I've got a few other projects on and I really need to concentrate on them and not stream, so... Yeah, I've already shown the game over screen a couple of times. I don't want to show the bonkers game over screen again. Oh. There are a few moments you get stuck like that in this, so... Oh. Please don't send me back here. Good, it does keep my progress. Yeah, I haven't done any PS2 for a while. We'll probably do some PS2 again at some point. I probably should give the N64 some love. Could do some Master System as well. I've not actually done the Master System yet, although the games for the Master System aren't that big. I haven't actually done any Xbox 360 games, so I should seriously consider doing a couple of them as well. Oh. Should actually drag out the Xbox 360. Or could do a bit PC. Dare I say, could do a bit more PlayStation 4 as well, so... PS1, we have lots and lots of stuff to stream, so... Could do some PAL SNES streaming. I know you wanted to see some PAL Mega Drive games, didn't you, Atorica? So could do a few PAL games at some point. But yeah, I may take a bit of a break in the near future on the stream front and concentrate on the video front. Ow. Oh, I can go the other way around, can't I? Okay, I'll give it one last shot. This will be the last stage. Basically, the more enemies and bullets on screen when you use your attack, the more missiles you fire to respond to the counter. Basically, the more missiles you fire, the slowdown is intentional when it all occurs, and actually it's quite nice to watch everything just get blown up quite literally. I could do Black Mate. There are a couple of games I could do, but I have to be a little bit wary with when we start getting into Dreamcast games. Because when you get things like animation, you have to be really careful we don't do a game that has some song or something that's copyrighted and then we get into a world of hurt, so to speak. So that's right, the villains are trading fruit in this. Well, that's actually quite a good thing to trade. Rare example. Now I saw a complete health pack one of these rows. There's one. Music's also, I am really liking the music. It's been ages since I've heard this soundtrack, I will admit. In fact, I'm being honest, I haven't played this game properly since I originally beat it. And I beat it in about 2002. Maybe 2003 at the latest. So basically this is definitely a trip down memory lane for me. Another full health there as well. Okay, I don't need to write anything like that. And that's probably why there was another full health that way. Yes, game, I know I'm low on health. Gotta be careful, I can't hit the enemies behind those green. Got him. Okay, right, thank you everyone for watching. I'm going to wrap it up here actually. So this has been Banjo on the Sega Dreamcast. I mentioned it was originally released on the Nintendo N64. This is the PAL version. We were playing via it doesn't, I mean you can play it via VGA. I know that, as Nico was mentioning, you can boot it into VGA, but it runs in a really small window. The PAL version doesn't let you because it gets stuck on the Hertz selection screen, although by all accounts the game was not supposed to run in VGA anyway, and Nico seemed to suggest it also had problems when running VGA, but we had no clear sound issues that Nico mentioned, so I'm guessing the moral of the story is don't play on bootleg versions of the games. Because the problem, as I mentioned, is all those, basically, they haven't properly ROM, basically taken the images of a lot of the games because they have to be the raw GD-ROM files, which you can't fit on CDs. But that's a whole other story about archive preservation. So I'm going to leave it there. That's been the first 20 levels of Bangai-O. Maybe at some point I'll actually do a full-on playthrough without me commentating as well. As mentioned, it is a very solid game. Oh, I should have mentioned it was originally released. So I should actually mention this right at the start. It was released in '99, although I think the North American release was 2000. The PAL release, I've got different dates on. Some people say 2001. Okay, I think it was 2000. Some people said end of 2000. I think this was out when I got a Dreamcast, and this says 2000. But the characters are very, very crazy. You do meet a few of them. Yeah, I think it's 2000. There's some hilarious characters in this. It is actually an enjoyable game. It's not a particularly long one, although it does need some practice. Yeah, I'm pretty good at this, so I've made pretty good progress, but it does get harder. They said the final boss, yeah, you do fight Guy, the final boss. You actually saw me fighting him earlier there. He is the final boss. He is the leader. That is him. We fought earlier, the one she said, I think this guy's a smuggler. No, he is actually the final boss. You fight a couple of bosses quite a few times in this, which was a bit why the final boss was a little bit disappointing at the end. You do refight. I mean, there's quite a few characters, but some of them on your side. Controlling the banjo, yeah, I mean, it's a solid game. But thank you all. Thank you to everyone who's been on stream. As said, it was originally released in '99. I think 2000 was the Western release. It was developed by Treasure, although Conspiracy Entertainment are credited. I think they did the Dreamcast port. In Japan, it's published by Entertainment Software Publishing. I think they sort of handled all the licensing as well. Crave Entertainment in North America, Swing Entertainment and Virgin Interactive in Europe. And we'll see there. I mean, it's a nice visual game. It is a touched up and improved version of the N64, but whether the N64 version plays better is another question. Definitely one I think probably may well play better on the original N64, but it is certainly a great game if you've never played it. If you like the type of thing, it's not going to be to everyone's taste. It is, I think it's a bit of a subjective game, as I mentioned. Even we've not actually had the streams not been that busy, and I think a lot of people don't necessarily enjoy this. I wouldn't say it's Treasure's best game, that's true. It's not their strongest game, but the music's alright, the visuals are nice. It's a nice, competent game. As I said earlier, it's a good game, but it's lacking greatness. I think they could have done a lot more with it to make it something really special, and they didn't quite do that. As I said, I think it's actually Treasure's weakest N64 game as well, and they didn't do much on the Dreamcast. I think this is their only Dreamcast game. No, they did Icaragia. You know, if I'm being honest, I think this is their weakest 32-bit game, probably their weakest Dreamcast game, seeing as Icaragia is a much better game. So yeah. But that is where I'm going to leave it. So thank you all for watching. As always, if you enjoy our streams, please do hit that like button. Of course, you can subscribe to the channel. It is a bonkers game, a very bonkers game. Thank you all for watching, and I will be back tomorrow with another stream. I'm not sure what, but it won't be a game that has VGA unless our cable arrives tomorrow, but I don't think it will be. I think I might it was the aero dancing stuff, and could do Deadly Skies. There are a couple other games that don't support it, so I will have a think, and then I will dig out which one. Thank you all for being on stream. So thank you to Mizuno Senkai, TV. Thank you to Araka for being with me almost the full way. Thank you to Nico R, or Nikoden R I should say, who's been with me almost all of the stream as well. And thank you to Hassan Terrell, who dropped by to say hello. Thank you all. As always, hope you enjoy the stream. As always, if you do want to chat in the chat, you just need to drop in for a minute or two. You just need to subscribe to the channel for a minute. It's just purely to stop spam messages which you were getting prior. Since I've done this, since I've had people had to subscribe for a minute, it's amazing how many people won't click the subscribe button just for a minute. You can always unsubscribe at the end of the stream if you don't want to, but it has got rid of some of the couple of odd, weird spam messages we got, because obviously people don't want to actually subscribe to the channel to post. They want to just... Some people like to do what I call a hit and run tactic, where they'll put something in chat and then just vanish, usually to cause chaos basically. But thank you all for staying for the stream. As always, I've been the editor of Randomised Gaming, and I hope you enjoyed this look at or the stream of Banjo-O. I wish you a good night, a good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Bangai-O, I should say. It's Bangai-O. Or Explosion Invincible Robot Bangai-O. Thank you all for joining me, and I will be back tomorrow. Have a good night, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow.